bird's nests come in thousands of different shapes and sizes, and one of the most intriguing of them all is built by a family of birds called hornbills. The Fort Wayne Children's Zoo displays a nesting pair of silver-cheeked hornbills from the high mountain forest of East Africa.
The most distinctive feature of the silver-cheeked hornbill, as is in most hornbills, is the large casque that's on top of the bill, especially in the males. It's much larger in the males than the females.
Researchers speculate that the casque or horn serves as an adornment to make the males more attractive mates. It might also amplify the calls they make to mark their territory. As ungainly as that huge beak may look, it's often used as a delicate tool for building nests and gathering food.
The tip of it must have some sense to it, because they are able to pick up things with the tip of the bill, handle it, throw things up in the air, and catch it with the tip of the bill.
After these hornbills mated last spring, the female built a wall of mud to seal herself into a tree hollow. 4 months later, she broke the wall and emerged, followed by a chick almost as big as she was.
Almost all baby birds, when they first hatch, are very dependent on their adults to have the food supplied to them. They just don't have the skills to go out and catch or take or gather up their own food. And they learn this by observing where the chick is begging for food. I'll actually give a little call, where it's a little begging call. And that stimulates the adults. And they will go down to that feed pan, collect several pieces at a time, swallow most of them, and keep it in their gut. But they may carry the last piece back to them in their bill itself, and then feed that one, and then feed the rest of it by regurgitating the food back up, pass them to the chick one at a time.
This is the first silver-cheeked hornbill ever born in an American zoo, which is a source of great pride for the zoo staff.
We feel really good when we see any of our animals breeding and successfully raising young. We know that we're probably doing something right, giving them the right conditions.
From the human point of view, the vulture may be one of the most unappreciated creatures in the animal world. But you ask anybody that knows, they'll tell you the vulture may be ugly, but they sure do have a beauty all their own. One of the world's rarest vultures is the Andean condor. There are less than 2,000 left in the wild, and scientists are studying the bird in an effort to prevent extinction. This animal was bred in captivity and hand-raised by Steve Hoddy.
As you can see, this bird has the largest wing mass of any bird of prey, or any bird for that matter, as far as flying mass, and that's what makes it the largest flying bird in the world.
I notice you're touching him and everything else. Why does this bird like you so much?
Well, that's because this bird was donated to us by the Patuxent Research Center out of Maryland. So we can do educational programs with it here at Silver Springs.
Yeah.
And the reason it likes me so much is because I got it at 10 days old. So this bird was no bigger than a softball when we first got it.
Now, he's sitting there just kind of chewing my arm right now. If he wanted to, he could probably tear it off.
Oh, yeah. He's a very powerful beak. He could really rip and tear with that, can't you?
Why? So you raise this bird in your kitchen or something?
Yeah. We raised the condor in the kitchen, and it chased out the dogs and the cats out of the house as it grew. And she's imprinted to me, you might say. And she thinks I'm her dad, and she's very affectionate. That condors are compared to other birds of prey, are very intelligent and very, very affectionate.
Like a little fan.
Well, what she's doing is it's a cleansing process, because they eat carrion, which is dead animals, and so she's always got her face in dead things, and there's a lot of bacteria and disease and stuff, and they've got to be able to let the sun kill off any bacteria. That's why their head is bald.
Act like a tree, look at that. There, now he's come back. Isn't that pretty?
To help visitors understand vultures and other birds of prey, such as hawks and eagles, Steve stages demonstrations. While showing off the natural behaviors and skills of these birds, Steve tries to convey the vital contribution they make to their ecosystems.
We want people to get closer to birds of prey, and there's still a problem with people shooting birds of prey. We have trouble with habitat encroachment and nesting areas of birds of prey. What we're hoping is that when they leave our show, that they feel birds of prey are a little bit more important as far as keeping them as a value, because once the animal goes extinct, it's gone forever.
They say a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, but this is ridiculous. Here at Parrot Jungle Gardens in Miami, not only can you have a parrot on your hand, on your arm, and on your shoulder, on your head, but you can also meet and find out everything you want to know about, you guessed it, parrots. For more than 50 years, Parrot Jungle and Gardens has been a Miami landmark, offering visitors an unforgettable experience with parrots in a tropical garden setting. The trained bird show seems like inspired silliness, but it's really a phenomenal display of coordination and high intelligence. Carrie Dollar is Parrot Jungle's first woman bird trainer. She's been working with birds for over 8 years. It's a lot of fun to watch the antics of these wonderful parrot performers. But have you ever wondered how they learn such unbird-like behaviors? And they're so intelligent. You know, Carrie, it's amazing how smart these things are.
A lot of people say that they do have the intelligence level of a preschool child, and I tend to believe that.
You think I could train one of them to do something?
Oh, sure. It's very simple.
Welcome to Jack's Bird Show at Parrot Jungle. Jack only has one parrot. That's all I know how to train. How to reinforce. Okay, Sue. All right. Okay, a world's record. Here we go. We're doing it for speed this time, not accuracy. Going low with Jack. Hey, Sue. Sue, hold it. See, let me show you something. This one here doesn't fit there. See there? You gotta move this one. That's it. Okay, you put it here. No, over here. Back over here. Over here. Let's fix the bad one. Here, fix the bad one. I don't know what's wrong. All right, Sue. Yeah. Hold it. Don't do too many tricks. We did a great show, you and I, didn't we? Huh? We on the road? Jack and Susie. Yes, sir. I like the sound of that.
That's a good girl. Come on, Taxi.
You don't become a parrot star overnight. Hilda Fonseca starts training the birds when they're about a year old.
Come on, Macho.
I noticed that Macho has lost his foot, it looks like.
Yeah, he was born that way.
Oh, look how good he gets.
But he doesn't know the difference. Yeah, he's real good. Come on, Macho. Come up here. That's a good girl.
Good, Macho.
Can I have a kiss? Hello.
Now, how old is Macho?
Macho is about 9 years old.
So he's still learning how to train.
Mm-hmm. He loves to be hanging from his bait. Come on, Macho.
Oh, look at that.
Macho is a good bird.
Holy mackerel.
He's great. He's a baby. That's a good boy.
Question. How do you get to the Parrot Jungle Bird Show? Answer. Practice, practice, practice. These young parrots will live very long lives. So what will they do when their show days are over?
Well, their home's right here. This is the senior village.
The senior village?
Mm-hmm.
What's the average age of these birds?
Well, it's like humans. Some of them are close to 70s. Some of them are close to 60s.
That's human years.
Mm-hmm. Just because they're old, that don't mean that we want to get rid of them or anything, you know. We give them a place where they enjoy the environment. People feed them, look at them.
Now, do some of these birds have the same ailments that like older people would have?
Yeah. Caras, heart disease, you know, same stuff that humans have.
Like say that someone's stuff I'm getting right now.
Oh, come on. Give me a break.
No, man, my bones hurt, my knees, my eyes are bad. Can I come here and spin out my ears?
Sure, why not? We'll take care of you.
Just put me up there next to King. Take me
All
a
right.
bird seed, put a sign named Jack right up there.
All right, deal.
The Chumash Indians revere the mighty condor as sacred. It's viewed in their legends as the one who carries the souls of the dead on its wings to heaven. With its 9-foot wingspan and the ability to soar over 100 miles a day, this prehistoric bird is one of the largest flying birds in the world. In the late 1980s, the condor came dangerously close to the brink of extinction. Several organizations united to save the species, including the Los Angeles Zoo, the San Diego Wild Animal Park, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. I spoke with Bill Toon in San Diego and Mike Wallace in L.A. about this magnificent bird.
In 1987, the last California condor was brought in from the wild here in the Los Padres National Forest. We had 27 birds in the world. California condors once ranged all the way across the United States. Condors were found along the beaches feeding on marine mammals and birds that died and washed up onto the beaches as carrion. We've changed that habitat now. No longer can the condors fly along the coastline and find anything but people. So we, just in our presence in California, have usurped a lot of what the condor used to use on a daily basis.
Just what is a condor?
Well, condors like a large vulture. They're scavengers. They're not like hawks and falcons that catch their own prey. These birds wait for something to die in the environment, gather around it, and that's what they feed on. You can think of them as nature's garbage collectors out there cleaning up the environment.
Is that why they have the bald head?
This bald look isn't really just for style. They actually can feed up inside the carcass and get all soiled, and once they're through feeding, they can clean up very easily, and it's thought that this is a good mechanism for hygiene for these birds.
Now, Mike, just what has caused the decline of the condor, the California condor especially?
Well, what we've done to this bird is they've been shot in the wild. We've erected power lines in their paths of flight. They have died from ingesting lead from hunters leaving carcasses in the wild that they've fed upon. Egg collectors have taken their eggs in the early part of the century. And the California condor is a very slow breeder in the wild. They produce one chick every 2 years. So they can't replenish themselves very quickly, and their population has gone down.
It's interesting. There was a time when, and there's still old-timers who will tell you this, that you weren't a man until you had shot your first condor. And the tragedy of that is that if you shoot a sparrow, as sad as that is, the sparrows recover very quickly population-wise from an impact like that. When you shoot a condor, a bird that takes 7 years to reach sexual maturity, it only produces one chick every 2 years. You set them back 10 years with each mortality. And so this kind of harvest was very hard on the birds.
In the early 1980s, aware of the rapid decline of the condor population, biologists developed an innovative approach to save this species. They take an egg from the nest during breeding season and fool the breeding pair into laying a second one. This process, called multiple clutching, allowed the recovery team to boost the population in captivity faster than was being done in the wild. Unfortunately, these efforts were not enough, and after much controversy, the last wild condor was taken into captivity in 1987. The last condor became part of the captive breeding programs, which would ultimately save this bird from extinction. Now, this looks like an intense place for prisoners, or a high-intensity fence here with barbed wire on top. What is all that about?
To say that this program has been controversial is almost an understatement. In the early days of the program, there were many people who opposed the birds being in captivity, and the slogan was "Better dead than in captivity." And we had threats against the birds, and we're very afraid that we would lose the original birds brought in. So we had 24-hour guards, armed guards, and concertina wire to protect them.
Now, obviously, the people that said that were wrong. I mean, if it hadn't been for what you and the LA Zoo have done, Los Angeles Zoo, these birds would probably be extinct. Is that right?
Yeah, this is one of the very few species around that we can say with literally absolute certainty that without a captive breeding program, there would be no more condors.